Welcome back there. What's this then?
Were you expecting a double feature? Because if you were, you're in luck. I don't know why I have a surprised and hearing face.
And what is with our accents? Why? What
Well,
if, what if we did all the
from-
movie podcasts with an accent the whole time?
The film Black Widow has come out and graced your theaters and or eyes and or Disney Plus accounts from which you could play on your television or your phone. Or your phone for that matter.
I think the few people that watch us would stop watching us. That's what I think.
There's only one way to find out.
And what have I dropped?
Next week on
And what if I put on the mask?
Welcome to this special episode of our podcast, Sci-Fi Rebellion, where we will be discussing
Black Widow.
Wait. For all you fans, you can expect whenever a movie comes out, it'll probably be its own separate coverage sort of detail episode. So, just really be expected.
Get ready for that slam bam, basically.
Yup. So when a movie's coming out, be like, oh shit, I'm gonna get 2 episodes in 1 week. Yeah, that's right. That's what we do for
That's what we're talking about. For instance, this week, Black Widow will be the featured coverage. The film just came out on July the 8th, I believe.
9th, technically. 9th
Oh, yeah,
is
that's
when
right.
It's out everywhere versus
8th, they do the prank
places.
release.
Yeah, they do like the Thursday screenings. So I don't know why they say 9th, but whatever. Alas.
Interesting.
So yeah, Black Widow came out. Definitely long overdue for a Black Widow film for sure. Wish we would have gotten a little bit sooner, but still a fun time. And that's what we're here to discuss. So boys, grab your spoons and dig in.
I've forgotten my spoon.
All right.
Well,
We'll talk about it next week.
this movie was definitely long overdue. I think it's a great way to introduce it. I think that should be the preface to reading like almost anyone's reviews and takes on this movie. We know that there's such a precedent at this point with Marvel films and shows for theorization to take place. I think Marvel avoided that with this movie. However, during that time, it was a marked decrease in people's hype, I think, going into the release. I know that I, for one, was initially really excited for this movie. And by the time it released, I was markedly less excited for it. It was still an enjoyable time. That said,
with a Marvel movie.
yes. That said, when I look past the base story elements, this is a family story. It's the story of a girl reuniting with her family, making peace with her past, and ultimately seeking revenge. That's what the movie's about. These are basic plot tropes, and there is definitely a lot, I think, to be asked for that we didn't necessarily receive. And there is an equal amount that we didn't ask for that we unfortunately did receive.
Yeah.
Now, I left the movie, and I wasn't disappointed. I was more just like, yeah, that was kind of, I guess, where my hype was at. I think it kind of hit exactly what I was expecting, which was, this is not an epic standalone Marvel film. This is not an epic standout in Marvel's long history now. And it's just another one that's going to be kind of in the books. It is no Captain Marvel, mind you, but it's also no Iron Man 1. So,
Yeah.
Before I just get into the nitty-gritty of it, though, what were your guys' like base thoughts on it?
Yeah, to piggyback off kind of what you said, my hype went down for it over time. I was never like super duper hyped for it, but I was definitely excited just to see another Marvel movie. That being said, it met my expectations kind of like huge because I wasn't expecting a whole lot. But I guess I've been kind of saying this a lot, but I expected a fun movie and I got a fun movie. I would put it somewhere in middle territory, maybe not even quite middle, but of Marvel movies. It was fun. I thought it was funny. I liked the humor in it. And I liked a lot of the characters, not just Black Widow, but I liked most of the characters that they brought in. I thought they acted all very well. Um,
Hope so we
but
got that
yeah,
kind of
as
cast.
far as the plot, it was very like, okay, yeah, this is a side story. It's not pushing any part of the Marvel universe forward. It's just kind of a farewell movie to Black Widow, a little closure.
An homage.
Yeah, a little closure for her story and the fact that she was kind of always a lone wolf type of person, and she got a little family element to wrap up her. But yeah, fun movie. Not my favorite. Definitely not one of the worst ones, but right there in the middle.
For me, I mean, basically I summarized everything without bringing up specific details, but for me it was like around like Doctor Strange level. It's like it's a good time. Definitely, like I'm not gonna walk out being like, oh man, that's one of the worst Marvel movies or anything like that. But also like is not like Thor Ragnarok or Homecoming. Or
I disagree with your Doctor Strange opinion, dude. Doctor Strange.
Honestly, it's pretty close for me.
Doctor Strange was the first time since like the initial Phase 1 movies where I was like, whoa, this is a crazy new character introduction. That movie was insane.
Yeah, we can go more into that. We're not here to talk about Doctor Strange. But
so we're here to discuss the new movie, Doctor Strange. The first one.
That came out in 2016, but we just saw it.
The year is the past.
Yeah, so let's get into it. Starts off the entire movie takes place between when Iron Man says, hey, yo, Black Panther's a rat, and he's gonna narc. And Black Widow's like, okay, I'm out. Takes place between that scene in Civil War and when Captain America goes to rescue the Avengers in Civil War. So in Civil War, it takes place during 5 minutes of screen time, which obviously, because time works weird in movies and stuff, apparently that was like a whole 2-week stretch. So that's where the movie takes place. You know, Black Widow's on the run, just going back to her espionage routes of just trying to lay low and use her resources and use false identities and whatnot. But she gets brought back into her past via a red powder that explodes and makes you sober. Which no one wants that. No one wants a powder that makes them sober.
But does it make you sober?
It makes you not want to kill people.
Some people.
It makes you want to kill people less.
There you go.
So
Yeah. It was
pretty standard plot.
Yeah.
pretty standard.
For me, it was like a slow build up. I think for the first hour or so, I'd say, up till the mountain scene in the snowy area, and I think that was kind of when that was really when the movie was getting going. I feel like it kind of hit stride there for like a good 45 minutes. It was very solid. The action sequences were pretty good in general, but I felt like the final action sequence, which should have been like the dopest of them all, was kind of minimized in that it was basically just while they were falling out of the plane. And there's only so much.
Of a sky fort.
Yes, pardon me. That's a straight up sky fortress. That gets the rest on.
Hiding in a generated cloud.
Yeah.
When he looks up at the sky.
I was thinking. I was like, is fortress a small fort? Is that what that is?
No.
Right?
It was like a bigger fort.
I think fortress is the word, and fort
is just an abbreviation.
Word. Yeah, it's the shortened version of fortress.
Those are both possible.
Like Robert.
Robson.
Yeah.
Apparently, a fortress is usually used for strategic or military matters, whereas a fort is just a strongly solidified place.
So a fortress is indeed a little more buff, but not.
Yeah,
It's the
fortress would
opposite
be
way.
the more correct term.
So glad that
Now we know. It was a sky
Semantics!
fortress, guys. Yeah.
For how grounded, which is one of my biggest praises of the movie, the first like hour, even though it's like not really plot heavy, it feels very character heavy. Like we're not seeing Black Widow using all this crazy Avengers technology. She's struggling while the sun's going down, trying to get her generator to power her little cabin. Like that's a very human and raw moment, and not something we get with somebody like Iron Man or Doctor Strange, which was like I liked kind of like that really down to earth level of it all. And even when she fought Taskmaster, like Taskmaster can copy all their abilities from different Avengers, and she was pretty outclassed when she just randomly encountered him. So everything felt really down to earth, which is partially why I wasn't as big into the finale. Kind of like with Winnie, it's just that we went from this really human tale of like a girl with a traumatized past, and she just lost the only family she had properly accepted, to now we're falling out of this giant sky fortress while we just freed a bunch of like child trafficked slaves that were killing people, and there's no fighting, it's just falling.
The scope of the film changed drastically, really fast.
It wasn't her surviving, it was now her trying to make sure that this Russian Harvey Weinstein didn't get to
straight up Russian Harvey
world.
Weinstein. That is the perfect description of that man.
Yeah,
seemed very good. Harvey Weinstein-esque. So yeah, it loses a little bit of its weight because it got too heavy.
Yeah,
not emotionally but physically.
Yeah, it really just felt like it kind of went off the rails in that last little. Basically, once Black Widow was encountering the main, what was the guy's name?
Torikov and his daughter.
Yeah, when she encountered him in his office, that was a huge turn for the worse, I would say. That entire encounter, I was just like, I was like,
I can't punch you.
Dude, the pheromone thing, I mean,
never once, like, had that ever been possibly brought up in Black Widow's thing, but it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, there's pheromones that have been planted with you the entire time.
And a chip inside of you.
Yeah. A lot of things that were just kind of thrown in there a little bit.
I didn't think it completely destroyed the movie, but it definitely took me out of like, wow, this is a really tense situation. Just I was like, well, they just keep whipping stuff out, and not to jump straight to the finale, but the whole like unraveling of that they had a whole plan this entire time. It felt like just things kept happening, and then they were retroactively trying to fix that. Like, oh, we actually had a plan. Oh wait, we forgot to add this part to the plan.
It was literally the Rick and Morty heist episode.
Yeah.
I think more accurately, it's the Oceans.
Yeah.
Thing. Because Rick and Morty is based off of Oceans.
Yeah.
Come on.
Very Oceans-esque. Like, oh, but secretly we had this the whole time, which.
Yeah. It was basically because they're all super spies, and at first we didn't know that they were all gonna be family. All of a sudden, they were trying. I guess that was the redirect there. Is that they actually discussed intel in that room while they were getting attacked, and got every detail basically that they needed to get out in that little tiny room in that small amount of time. So yeah, a little lame. Although I thought the idea of how super spies should win, I think that idea is how I wanted to see it. Maybe I wanted to see it a little better, but them outsmarting them.
Yeah.
In a spy kind of cool way.
Mission Impossible.
I liked that because
that's a fair
like you said, it has to be grounded. These are all just regular humans. And
it's not about who can punch each other the hardest, because we've seen a lot harder people punch each other.
Exactly. And and so it had to be like that. And I thought it was good. That could have been a little better on how they presented it, but I'm happy that it was them outsmarting them, not like two girls fighting the enemy and just winning out of pure skill. I'm glad that it didn't end like that. So there's at least that.
But for me, that's like the whole ending, as lackluster as we'll say it is, not incredibly disappointing, not even close to the kind of disappointing Game of Thrones was in its finale, but just a little lackluster. For me, that's not where like the heart of the movie lies, and that's not where like I really have like my reflecting opinions upon. Like it's more so the groundwork that they were setting up, like I said, the down to earthness, and then as the family starts getting introduced, it's one of the first times in a while where I've liked that the Marvel movies have like a wide cast of characters in each movie. Like in Black Panther, I'm like, we're splitting time between his girlfriend, Okoye, his sister, his mom, this Martin Freeman's kid, Frodo Baggins, Bilbo Baggins, whatever. I'm like, how about we focus on the main character that this movie is based off of, called Black Panther? And so like Marvel just always has to throw in a bunch of cast of like eclectic people that kind of fit the situation. And for me, usually when in the final battle, when we're cutting between all these different people, it's taking tension out because some of these people aren't like battle ready. Versus in this, they all feel very similar. Like they all feel like they have a reason to be there. They're all, I felt like it was all very natural, and I liked all of that. Whether it was David Harbour just absolutely hamming it up as like a douchey Russian Captain America, it was very self-centered, which was always a blast. And then Florence Pugh, who's been absolutely killing it in her roles recently, and including this one.
Yeah, and those are both of those characters I really liked. Like you said, the douchey, fully egotistical Russian Captain America. He was great. I love that he's just like so involved in himself that
he's so David Harbour.
Yeah,
like the epitome of what David Harbour could be.
He does like his family, but he's so like war hardened and ego driven that he literally never shows it.
Very prideful, which is what like that era of Russia was about.
Yeah,
all about Russian pride and
whatnot. Yeah,
Russian Pride Month. Hey.
And I liked that he tried to. I like that he tried to express his feelings, but he kept failing. And then when he actually had a chance, he ended up not doing it. I feel like that kept in his character. Like he tried. Yeah. He's like, screw it. They know I care now.
Yeah, they know where my heart lies. It's just hard for me to verbalize.
Yeah.
I really like that scene where he was talking to Florence Pugh's character Yelena, and he was like, "My father urinate on my hands. Temperature of pee is 32 degrees above zero." And then she's like, "Why are you telling me this?" He goes, "Fathers." Like, that was the point to his story. So, and like you said, he was like just a simple guy, and it was the chemistry between everybody was really good. I also really like the whole like sister dynamic of like Yelena and Black Widow. Like you could see how, because they have very similar origins, you can see how they're like different. How like Black Widow's more like serious and kind of like hardened, but also more comfortable. So she's a little bit more loose versus like Yelena just feels like, this is all I ever known. This is just life.
Yeah. Liked making fun of Black Widow's poses. Thought that was funny.
That was great.
You do the thing with the hair. You totally strike a pose.
You're such a poser.
Yeah. And then at the end, she tries it too, and it's just like,
she grossed herself out.
Yeah, it was really good. And I guess Marvel just has a habit of nailing scenes where the main cast of characters meets up in some log cabin in the middle of nowhere, and they just get really emotional. Like that. It worked in Age of Ultron, and it worked in this movie. And they're all like being themselves, getting to see the full dynamic, and then they were like saying how everything was fake, and then Yelena, the littlest, the youngest of them all, was like, "It was real."
Iron Man's funeral was at a log cabin
I
too.
was just thinking
Oh
that.
yeah, Iron Man's funeral also at a log cabin.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Yeah,
It-
they love
You
it.
know, you know you're about to, you might tear up a little if they go to a log cabin.
In some sort of remote
Prepare.
area.
Prepare yourself.
No, to get unemotionally invested if this remote area is in the sky and possibly in a fortress.
Also, if they're in a cabin and it's a single person, know that they're getting powered up, as we saw with the Incredible Hulk and Wanda.
Yes.
True, very true.
Cabins are crucial to the MCU. They
MCU
frequently
nothing
go
without
unnoticed, but yes, without the cabins, the MCU would not be where it is now.
Yep. It's important.
Yeah. It was a good time. What did you guys think of the Taskmaster review? I don't know what your guys' like expectations were going into it, how you felt after.
I had no expectation whatsoever. So that was definitely interesting. She also looked just not right. Yeah, it was just a little.
Or half her face was blown off.
Didn't like the looks of that one. I was like, keep the mask on, girl.
Yeah, I love when the main bad guy is like, look at her face. I don't even want to look at her face.
He's like, it
Freaking
makes you
ugly, man.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
It's hard to look at.
Yikes.
Yeah, that was kind of a cool part at the same time, showing how gruesome the villain was. Like, that's his daughter. He then just pretty much brainwashed his daughter,
Yeah.
made her into a weapon, and willingly throws her out into danger constantly. And that's the person Black Widow feels so bad about. But really, I mean, that guy is so much of a monster. He seemed to really hardly care that his daughter died.
Yeah.
Like, it
And
really didn't seem to affect him too much.
No.
That was a pretty morally gray area when like
Oh,
Black Widow said that, because we've heard about her like red ledger, her dark past, and then she was like, "Yeah, I bombed a child because that was the only way to get to the villain." I was like, "Oh, so that no, you do have a dark past." Like that's, and then even Yelena points it out. She's like, She's like, "I don't want to be an assassin that little girls called her hero."
Yeah.
She's like, "I know what I am. I'm a murderer and I'm an assassin. You are trying to pretend to be something you're not." And I like that we actually got to see some of her gruesome past.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot of people. That's the frustration of this movie, is that we kind of. That's the most interesting part of Black Widow, is how much red is on her ledger, and they talk about Budapest all the time, and they refer to it a lot in this movie, and
We get
that
to see part of it.
in some ways that story almost seems more interesting than the story that was told in this movie, which
But then
is a
that
little
also-
it's a little problematic. Like, they're not going to go all the way back to that story
yeah.
and they're not going to do that movie. Like, it doesn't make sense. They're moving forward for the most part. This movie was only happened like this as a send-off to Black Widow, as well as it got held back because of COVID. And
Yeah.
so because of that, it did feel a little strange, but it also felt strange that so much of this story had to do with the Budapest mission, and they talk about it so much, and it seems so cool. And this movie is basically the continuation of the Budapest mission. That's exactly what it is, actually. It's
or it was like her finishing the job.
yeah, like
But-
that's what that was. So
If we did like go back to the Budapest thing, like it would feel like we're completely. It'd be like us knowing Iron Man from Iron Man 2 to Endgame, and then us getting Iron Man 1, like a complete regression
Yeah,
of their character and totally jarring from any of the last appearances
Yeah.
we've seen. And then we were already saying how this movie feels long overdue. That would feel extremely
Yeah,
like
it would be
this- why are you
completely
doing this? Yeah, way too far back in terms
weird.
of character progression.
Uncalled
in terms
for.
of storytelling. Yeah, I
a
almost
lot
rather.
of people wanted it, but like it just wouldn't. It couldn't happen.
No.
Yeah. So it would be cool maybe to get a TV show about it at some point, but like I don't Like, I'd rather keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's too much untouched stuff, man.
Yeah,
They need to just
exactly. We don't need to get
put it-
everything fully fleshed
yeah,
out.
put it to rest.
I almost would have been kind of thought it was cool and funny if they just never had properly said what happened in Budapest. If we kept getting references to it, but only they know what they're talking about. Like we're always just like, what is Budapest? What happened in Budapest? And they're like,
What is
yeah, Budapest. Or I guess we
Yeah,
should say Budapest.
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 Yeah, I mean, no matter how they played that, I feel like they were definitely going to annoy people.
Yeah.
Just because the fan base can be like that. They're always gonna complain about something. But as I guess as we got coverage of what that was about, we got enough information that it was just weird that so much of the mission that was this movie was the Budapest mission. So it was almost like this is the second Black Widow movie.
Literally,
you know?
they literally go to Budapest. It's part of it actually takes place there. But I did like that they kept all the characters around. I mean, obviously minus the Harvey Weinstein guy. Like everybody else, like Red Guardian's still in the MCU. We still have Yelena moving forward, possibly as like the new Black Widow. We still have Taskmaster, so maybe Taskmaster will be able to think for herself, but she could still take on like a mercenary role, just kind of like a hire by random other villains or something like that.
Yeah,
I like that we left doors still open.
Yeah, it seems like Taskmaster's probably gonna fall under a anti-hero category where she does things she does good things, she does bad things. She's right in that gray area. I think that's where she's gonna sit for a while, and then maybe something will happen that will push her farther to the dark side. But it seems of right now they've kind of left her in a anything could happen zone.
What an interesting group of people that was that got onto the jet that left. It's like Taskmaster, who was trying to literally murder everybody until moments ago. David Harbour, Rachel Weisz, Florence Pugh, and then a bunch of assassins that are now free. That were also trying to kill each other like minutes ago. Like,
Yeah.
I just imagine that whole plane like really awkward. Like, so we're gonna talk about what just went down, or are we just gonna? Oh,
Yeah.
Nope, silence. Okay.
Whatever.
Fine. Yeah. So we'll see when that whole Russian group pops back up.
Yeah. Also, one part of the movie that I thought was a little weird was Black Widow's handler friend.
Oh yeah.
Very
Like
weird.
they really
Not
in
a
some
fleshed out
ways,
character at all.
they just brought him in there, and they almost were like teasing to flesh him out, and then it was
Yeah.
nothing other than the fact that they gave him a ride every
Yeah.
time he was there.
Mm-hmm.
He gave them something, and they acted like Black Widow and him were really good friends, but like I don't care about him. He's literally a nobody.
Literally just a plot device to allow them to get things or information.
He was a delivery man.
Fine with having, but can we get some of the friendship part of that? As he pointed out, that they are friends.
It just his character was in it so much more than like just a little side character, and it was just weird. That character just weirded me out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he was fine. Like, his character was fine for what it was, but I don't know. There's something about that character just weirded me out. Like, why was he there?
It was like
It was literally a plot device.
Yeah. He like didn't have any context within the story. He was just like a
Yeah.
person that did things.
Yeah. And now she's dead.
Yeah.
So like, I guess
So it
Florence
probably won't
Pugh's
get him
character could still go back and talk to him about stuff, but I don't know.
Weird.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see when and where, or if they bring up any of these people again. Because I don't know where they would pop in. That would organically make sense considering Black Widow's not around.
Yeah.
Although I'm hoping later this year that Yelena pops up in the Hawkeye show from that after credit scene.
Reasonable.
Completely reasonable. Or if it's gonna be like a different movie, I don't know. I don't know what else has Hawkeye on the horizon that would make sense to have those two characters interact.
I think that after credit is definitely a lamer one.
For sure.
I I feel like Clint will just so easily be able to just have sit down and have a conversation with her and be able to talk his way out of getting assassinated. Like, I'm sure there will be some initial fights, some hoopla, but
Hoopla.
it just seems so unimportant. Like, it's just
Like, we know it's
he's
gonna get remedied. Not how is this gonna get solved. Like,
Clinton knows her literally more than anyone. And if anybody is, if anything, Black Widow or Black Widow's sister should be like happy to meet him. I mean, I guess she's getting tricked, but if she does any, she's like a super spy. If she does any background on him, she's gonna find out that they were like best friends.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
even
it's a weird after credit thing throw in there.
And for this, like, I think it's safe to say she's like an evil Nick Fury of sorts, because we saw her pop up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier to recruit John Walker. She feels like an evil Nick Fury, but with none of the charisma that Samuel L. Jackson carries with Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Like, I don't love every Nick Fury performance, but when he's popping, I'm like, I like his chemistry and that he's like he's like a parent trying to deal with everything happening in the MCU, versus like this just felt like the older sister of like the children that's just trying to manipulate the other kids, but with again none of the charisma. Like, I don't enjoy seeing her on screen, and I'm not like, oh, she's so funny. She's blowing her nose at a funeral right now. This is wild.
Yeah.
Like, she's alright. So hopefully they add a bit to her and she becomes more likable in a dislikable way. But
Yeah, it's kind of like what you said though, where she's supposed to be like this Nick Fury kind of character where she's getting a team of people together, but it seems
somewhat
like
heroes,
she's
somewhat
kind of doing
villains.
like the Dark Avengers.
Which I think is
and-
entirely possible.
And I think one cool story that they could do in future, now this would take so much more building of all those characters and more characters, but with some fleshing out, it could be really cool if there's like a story where the Avengers get wiped out in a way where they're like put in a time bubble and frozen or something.
Yeah.
And the Dark Avengers, these group of people that walk the edge of being morally just and but are will do it in very terrible ways, that they are going to have to save the world at some point. And I think that would be really cool. But that's going to be so far. Yeah, kind of like a Suicide Squad, but that's going to be so far in the future.
We'll have to see. And like who else would, so far we know that they have Yelena and US Agent, and which isn't really like crazy powerful to save the world. You have like a spy and just a really strong guy, but comparatively not that strong.
In future you've got like Deadpool type character. You could put like,
I would thought she was gonna
even
be Taskmaster.
Taskmaster could be in that group. I mean, yeah, there's a couple people that they could still grab, that have been in stuff, but like I said, it's so far in the future. I'm just
Hard to
grasping.
speculate.
Yeah, that's
straw
definitely
here.
a ways off.
We're in the beginning of Phase 4, so like this is the Iron Man, the Captain America, the Thor 1 of like this new phase now. Like, we're just getting the groundwork being laid right now. Not even things aren't even progressing. It's just the brick is being laid.
Yeah.
So yeah,
One brick at a time.
one brick at a time, this universe shall become whole.
It should be a small building made of bricks.
Yeah, but
That's
it
what
seems
the-
like they're building up there's a possibility of them building up quite a few big teams of villains.
It's gonna
or
be big.
Heroes or
Yeah, like
cosmic.
they've got the Sinister Six sort of almost done. They've got obviously we know
I heard Batman's coming.
yeah, yeah. But they've got a bunch of different things rolling. Like there could be a Secret Wars coming up. There's Galactus.
They're doing the whole scroll
The
invasion.
scroll invasion is coming.
For not to get too off the point for Black Widow, but what I'm confused and a little maybe disappointed about, unless scroll invasion is just to like set it up, the scroll invasion in the comics was like an event. Like that was like every hero on Earth was affected.
Yeah.
And so far, what they announced in terms of like progression of like scrolls coming to Earth and taking people's places, it's in a TV show starring like Nick Fury and the one scroll from Captain Marvel. Which I'm like, I hope this is just kind of like we're getting to see some of the smaller details of it, not necessarily like the whole invasion all taking place in the TV show. To be fair, though,
I don't think so.
Loki is pretty wild for all taking place in the TV show. So they could do like actual big crazy stuff that's just all taking place behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I have
the lady at the end of Black Widow, she was supposed to be established in a movie and then go to the TV show.
That was supposed to be her first appearance.
Yeah.
Which I honestly don't think it makes much of a difference between whether you got her in Falcon the Winter Soldier, because she's not explained in either.
No. And I think they kind of had to do that because they had to make it ambiguous. They already made Black Widow, so they had to keep that ambiguous. And then they're like, well, now this is the first interaction with her, so we have to leave this ambiguous too.
Yeah.
So as of right now, we absolutely know diddly squat about her.
Besides, she's putting together some sort of team, some kind of suicide squad.
She's making a squad.
Some kind of Thunderbolt squad.
Yeah, and we got the general a lot in this movie, who is a pretty big character from the way past.
He's like the only thing that actually makes that old Hulk movie like a part of the MCU.
Exactly.
Like, it feel like rewatching it, it feels completely different from everything else. None of the actors carry it over. The story does. Like they reference that movie, but very, very rarely. Like Abomination hasn't popped up until now Shang-Chi, but what's it called? Rosh is just the only thing that has made it through the entire MCU still.
I think, doesn't that guy, I'm pretty sure in the comic books eventually turns into Red Hulk, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, so
he loses the mustache. I hope that they do Red Hulk.
I think they could do that. Maybe in like She-Hulk. That would be sweet.
Yeah. We're supposed to get a few like Hulk storylines that have never been told in She-Hulk.
I hope that they've taken this time from what they did to Hulk, which is basically slowly write him out.
Slowly chop off his balls.
I hope that they've had some sort of idea of how to write Hulk again, because that's one thing that's always bothered me is it seemed like they just as time went on. I mean, Ragnarok was fantastic. Like they did such a good job at writing Hulk in Ragnarok, and ever since then it's just been he's lamer and lamer and lamer and just does almost nothing other than use the gauntlet to snap. And it's just it's almost like they.
But you're right.
He's gotten so. I don't even know how to describe. He's just gotten so.
He's literally gotten weak.
Less Hulk. Hulk is like this big monster behemoth of a man, and I'm okay with making the Hulk a little bit smarter. Like we didn't see him for 2 years, and oh wow, he can talk now, but he still talks like a child. Okay, that's improvement. And then Endgame, they just go from Hulk to.
Still can't believe that was a decision that was made that
off
wasn't
screen.
on screen. Exactly.
And it wasn't
was-
even like he was
movie.
still carrying guilt over Endgame. Like Thor got very fat and slobby off screen, but that's because he was dealing with depression. We saw how Iron Man just completely was like, I don't have anything left except for my family, so that's what I'm going all in on. Like they were still carrying trauma and grief and stuff with them, versus Hulk was like, no, I kind of figured everything out. This couldn't have been the best. This is the best thing that's happened for me ever since half the world died. I'm now, solved all my problems. I'm very strong, but also I'm very smart. So I'm cool. Dab.
It seems oh, gosh. It seems like something's gonna have to happen where he needs full strength, and so he's gonna have to lose control again. Probably what's gonna happen eventually.
I want to see him
Yeah.
lose his cool so much that we see the old Hulk come
Yeah.
back.
And I thought it was just because they didn't know how to write a character that was that strong. But I mean, honestly,
It's been
Thor is
written-
that level.
Well,
of
there's
strength.
Thor's more.
it's like
Yeah, Thor's stronger.
Like Hulk is so old. There is so much that has been written about him that they could use at any time. Like he literally has like dissociative identity disorder or whatever, and has multiple personalities, and his multiple personalities are like literally different versions of the Hulk, and then that sometimes he'll just get locked into one of those Hulks. And we haven't seen like so many of those. We've seen literally just like normal Hulk, Bruce Banner, and
Least favorite
Professor
one.
Hulk. Like,
Yeah.
it's whack.
Alas, we'll have to see.
Man,
But,
Black
Black Widow,
I was
man.
gonna say we are
Yeah.
pretty far from that original topic. We give the people what they want and a little bit more.
a
We're
little
generous
bit
with that.
extra. Put that
Just
on the top.
a little bit extra.
What a little bit of spice on it, eh?
So yeah, overall, Phase 4, a lot of interesting directions it's going in, but Black Widow was definitely a direction.
It surely was a direction. We'll leave that up
that's
to you to
definitive,
decide.
How you
Which-
felt about it?
How did
No.
I feel about it, though? And how did you feel about it? And how did
Let
you
us
feel
know
about it?
in the comments below.
And
hit
you.
like if you didn't like it. Hit like if you did like it. And comment why you chose to like it.
And if you comment the word sneeze, I will personally reply with a personal, heartfelt,
Bless.
sure, blessing is better. I was gonna say just like
Something
really,
horrible.
something awful. Just the worst thing I could think of. But I like the blessings better. So you just type sneeze down there and you get the custom bless.
You can get a blessing.
That's right.
just
Only
when
in
you
our
think
comments
you know
section. You type sneeze and you can get custom blessed for free. Just type sneeze right now. Comment, like, subscribe, alert bell, type sneeze, and you can be pleased.
See what kind of blessings you can get from the knees.
Yeah. All right, everyone.
How long it will
Alright.
take before Marvel owns all of the actors in the world? Because they add
Seriously.
like 5 top actors every movie.
Yes.
They add them to the fold. Imagine you're at like a celebrity party and you're just like, wait, you were in the Marvel movie. You haven't been in a Marvel movie yet?
You
Guys
gotta
have
be
been
in a
in
Marvel
Marvel
movie. You
You
gotta
gotta.
do it, dude. You gotta.
Some actors just do it for the paycheck. Others are like, nah, I'm interested.
I like superheroes.
So, all right, that's the end of the dual feature. Glad you enjoyed it, because again, I know you did. And
Yeah.
stay tuned next week when we get back to our routine schedule, which we will try our absolute hardest to uphold.
Yes.
And always remember, where there's a Black Widow, there is more than likely a potentially poisonous bite. So always run and keep those legs scrubbed for poison, or else the Black Widows will come and they'll get you. They'll get you right when you don't expect it. And with that, this has been the Sci-Fi Rebellion podcast. What is that noise I'm hearing?